Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirait. Nashtaprayesho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so we continue. So Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to the Hiranyakashipu second time. First time he just said that everybody in this material world are stuck in this deep dark well of samsara, and that one should go vanam gato yad harimashrayeta. One should go to vana, and Prabhupada says Vrindavana and harimashrayeta. Take ashraya of Hari. Now again, second time Hiranyakashipu meets Prahlad during his school days, and now again he asking that what is the best thing you learned from your teachers? Then he says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. So Navavida Bhakti he says. And then then Hiranyakashipu asks his teacher saying that why are you teaching this? And then they say, Shanda says, no, we are not teaching anything. Somehow his spontaneous devotion has arisen, has woken up. So then he asks Prahlad, um, if you have not received this education from your teachers, where have you gotten it? And Prahlad will answer no. So these verses are very nice. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Matirna Krishne Paratasvato Va Mitho Bhipadyeta Griha Pratanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamisram Punascharvita Charvananam. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to material life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Puna puna charvita charvananam. So the too addicted, uncontrolled senses, because of their uncontrolled senses, they're too addicted to material life and they make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna never arose. Matirna Krishna Paratasvatova. Matirna Krishna Paratasvatova. Either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Parataha Svatova. Matirna Krishna. That is why then when Vaishnavas bless us, we say Krishna Matirastu. So Prahlad is saying Matir na Krishna. Because our Mati is in material things. Grapratanam Adanta Gobihi. Adanta Gobi. Uncontrolled senses. Vishatam Tamisram. Entering hellish life. So directly Prahlad Maharaj is topmost, for Asura. Just imagine, just telling your Asura, this is what your life is, and everybody else with you. Nate vidusvarta gatim vishnum durashayaye bahirarthamaninaha andhayatande rupaniyamana stepi shatantriyam murudam nibaddhaha. Persons who are strongly entrapped by this consciousness of enjoying material life, and who therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man, Anda Yatander Upaniyamanaha, being led. attached to the external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return back home, back to Godhead. Nate vidu swartha gatim. They don't know that their real swartha gati, ultimate goal, is Vishnu, going back to Godhead. And engaging in his service of Vishnu. So Prabhupada is expanding. Gatim hi Vishnu means goal of life is to return back and engage in service of Lord Vishnu. A blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into the ditch. Materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor. Durashaya. Ashaya is ambition. Durashaya is bad ambition. Or ambition connected with this material world. So ropes of fruitive labor which are made of very strong cords. Ishatantram uru damni baddha. Isha here means ropes of material nature. Uru, very strong damni cords. Baddha. Dama. We know what is dama. Damodara. Dama udara. So dama. Dama means ropes, cords. And they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Without knowing that their real swartha is in Vishnu, durashayaha ye, those who have been ambitious to enjoy this material world, bahi arthamaninaha, they consider as valuable all these external sense objects. And they are led anda yathandai upaniyamanaha, being led by persons who are also blind. They ishatantram urudamni baddha. They are bound up by the strong cords of material nature, strong ropes of material nature. So we have to remove this, remember this. Nathe vidu swartha gatim. Our real swartha is Vishnu, Krishna. Otherwise, we have only durashaya and we have bahiyarthamaninaha. We consider this external sense objects as valuable. Actually, I was thinking about one thing. Maybe it's good for all of us. I was doing this exercise today morning. Where does our heart lie? What is our heart with, attracted by? We can make a list. It could be anything, whatever it is, value, material, non-material, spiritual. We can make a list. We'll understand actually where we stand. And the goal is matir Krishna and matirastu. Our goal has to be that our mati, our heart, has to be in Krishna. So we will understand where we stand. Naisham matistapadurukramangrim sprishatyanatthapagamo yadartah mahiyasam padarajobhishekam nishkinchananam na vrinita yavat. Na yesham mati urukramangrim. Their consciousness, it's not in urukrama, lotus feet. Unless sprishati anartha apagamaha mahiyasam padarajabhishekam. Unless they smear upon their bodies mahiyasam mahatmas padaraja, dust of their lotus feet. Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of mahiyasam, means devotees who, what kind of mahiyasam, who have already anartha apagamaha, meaning they have crossed this anartha nivritti, meaning they don't have any material contamination. Unless they do that, these persons who are inclined to material life, they cannot be attached. Esham mati tavat urukramangrim na. They cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. His urukrama is glorified for his unparalleled activities. Nishkinchananam na vrinita yavat. So only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, in this way one can be freed from material contamination. So they cannot, their mati will not be fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. unless they smear the dust of the lotus feet of Nishkinchana Bhaktas, of pure devotees, on their body. Mm. So for those who are materially inclined, what is the solution? Mm. They have to smear upon our bodies the dust of the lotus feet of Vaishnava. What does it mean to smear the dust of the lotus feet of Vaishnava? Is to follow their instructions. So that is the only way for us to actually come to this, uh, stage of Matir Krishner Matirastu, or Esham Mati Tavat Urukramangrim. Mm. Such powerful verses. Okay, I'll go back to the. So three verses, powerful three verses. We should, these three verses should be a tip of our tongue, because this is what it will keep reminding us where we stand. After Prahlad Maharaj had spoken in this way and became silent, Hiranyakashipu, blinded by anger, threw him off his lap. Just imagine, what a demon. He threw him off his lap, his own son, 5-year-old boy. And Hiranyakashipu would be so powerful, and on top of that, angry. Just imagine how far he would have thrown that child. Indignant and angry. This is like, sounds like a snake. His reddish eyes like molten copper. Hiranyakashipu said to his servants, "Oh demons, take this boy, not my son. Take this boy away from me. He deserves to be killed. Kill him as soon as possible. This boy is the killer of my brother, for he has given up his family to engage in the devotional service of the enemy, Lord Vishnu, like a menial servant." Although Prahlada is only 5 years old, even at this young age, he has given up his affectionate relationship with his father and mother, because he has become affectionate to Lord Vishnu. So he's given up his relationship with father and mother. Therefore, he is certainly untrustworthy. Who at the age of 5 will give up affection towards father and mother? So he is untrustworthy. Indeed, it is not at all believable that he will behave well towards Vishnu. Look at this. Just as uncontrolled senses are the enemies of all yogis advancing in spiritual life, this Prahlada, who appears to be a friend, is an enemy, because I cannot control him. So, two important things here. He is not looking how his own senses are uncontrolled. He is giving the example of uncontrolled senses of yogis. Saying this Prahlada is like this uncontrolled sense of the yogis. Meaning the senses have to be supposed to be controlled by the yogis, but they're not able to. Similarly, this Prahlada is supposed to be under my control. This is what we are all living here for. Control. We want to control others. We even at sometimes we want to control even sadhus, control gurus, control Krishna also. Uh, Krishna, I have this problem. Make sure, please, this is the solution. Please ensure that this is done. So this is, we should give up this craziness to control. Therefore, this enemy, whether eating, sitting, or sleeping, must be killed by all means. The demons, servants of Hiranyakashipu, thus began striking the tender parts of Prahlada Maharaja's body with their tridents. The demons all had fearful faces. So first thing they're doing is striking the tender parts of Prahlad Maharaj's body with tridents. And then they're shouting, chop him, pierce him. Just imagine this. And they began striking Prahlad Maharaj, who sat silently. So they're striking him, but he is sitting silently. Not that they were just talking to him orally. They're striking with tridents. They're shouting, chop him up, pierce him. But Prahlad just sat silently, meditating upon the Supreme Lord. The weapons of the demons had no tangible effects upon Prahlada, because he was a devotee undisturbed by material conditions, and thus fully engaged in meditating upon and serving the Supreme Person of Godhead who is unchangeable, who cannot be realized by material senses, and who is the soul of the entire universe. So he cannot be realized by material senses. So look at Prahlad Maharaj. So two things to note here. Weapons of demons had no effects. Why? Because he was a devotee. So here two things. One is he was undisturbed by material conditions, but these material conditions were not very ordinary material conditions. It was not like somebody was poking him with his finger or something, right? They were trying to pierce him with sharp weapons, which means they could have actually injured Prahlad Maharaj. So two things we can understand. One is those weapons did not have any effects on Prahlad Maharaj. That was mercy of Supreme Lord. And also, he was undisturbed by material conditions. So even if that weapon created a scratch on Prahlad Maharaj's body, Prahlad Maharaj was not bothered. Though it should have actually cut him. Maybe it just created a scratch. I'm just speculating here because there are two things here. Because they are piercing the tender body of Prahlad Maharaj with tridents. And they're asuras. They're not going to be worried about, being soft or considerate about him. So we can understand that the Supreme Lord was protecting his devotee. And secondly, Prahlad was still not affected by all these material conditions. And he was fully engaged in meditating upon and serving Supreme Person of Godhead. So he was chanting and he was just remembering the Lord. That's all. Silently. He's not perturbed. He's not like, very, in a very scary situation. So he's like, with fear. He's not fearfully praying. He's just simply meditating and serving the Lord. That's all. When all the attempts of the demons to kill Prahlad Maharaj were futile, Hiranyakashipu became most fearful. So he began contriving other means to kill him. So then could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants. Just imagine. I'm saying if you are pushed under the feet of big elephants, what logic will big elephants use? Throwing him among huge fearful snakes. Snakes are considered most envious. Without reason they will bite. Employing destructive spells, hurling him from the top of a hill, conjuring up illusory tricks, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water, throwing heavy stones to crush him. Hiranyakashipu found that he could not in any way harm Prahlad, was completely sinless. So Hiranyakashipu became very anxious. What to do next? Just see this list. I mean, if you don't get prasadam for a half an hour delayed, prasadam is, or whatever, we become perturbed. Or somebody served us less. I've seen this multiple times. Uh, Somebody has served us less prasadam. We look at this, look at his face. Then that why? Why have you served less prasadam? I'm not a beggar. So we can't tolerate small things. And here is Prahlad Maharaj. Severe cold, winds, fire, water. Fire, we know Holika was Hiranyakashipu's sister. She sat on the fire so she had a boon that she will not get burnt. So she sat on the fire with Prahlad. Nothing happened to Prahlad, she burnt because she was uh, trying to offend a devotee. I've used many ill names in chastising this boy Prahlad and I've devised many means of killing him, but despite all my endeavors, he could not be killed. Indeed, he saved himself by his own powers. Hiranyakashipu is thinking he saved himself by his own powers. And what was Prahlad's power? Just his devotion and surrender to the Lord. That's all. Without being least affected by these treacheries and abominable actions. Although he is very near to me and is merely a child, he is situated in complete fearlessness. Just look at this. It's so amazing, you know, just completely fearless. Meaning he just is not, is in complete consciousness that he is not this body and that he's under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Both. I can see that this boy's strength is unlimited, for he has not feared any of the punishments. He has not feared any of my punishments. He appears immortal. Therefore, because of my enmity toward him, I shall die. Or maybe this will not take place. So he's thinking, I made him his enemy. So he thought Prahlad also thinks of him as his enemy. So Prahlad is thinking of me as my enemy, as his enemy. I have not been able to kill him. So he will kill me. Natural, right? Like two enemies, one is trying to kill the other, is not able to kill, then the other person will kill him. Or maybe this will not take place. So then Shukracharya advises saying that no, he's just a child. Shukracharya, Shanda and Amarka, they say, okay, Shukracharya will come. Till then, we will arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna so that he will not flee in fear. Then once he is assimilated, he's grown up and assimilated all instructions, demonic instructions of our spiritual master. He will change in his intelligence. Don't be anxious. So then Hiranyakashipu tells him, teach him about occupational duty, which is followed by royal demoniac householder families, not royal householder families. Then again, their teaching instructed Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad is above all these instructions, did not like them because they are all based on duality. Then Prahlad started teaching his class friends. He addressed his class friends in very sweet language. He began to teach them about the uselessness of materialistic way of life. Being very kind to them, he instructed them as follows. So anyway, this we will not go through the instructions. Um, but some very, very important. Actually, all of these are very important. Okay, I'll read these. One who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life, Kaumaram Achret Pragno, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. Please note this. Giving up all other engagement. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Slight amount of नेह विक्रमनाशोस्ति प्रत्यवायनो विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य. Yesterday, I was very happy that one of the devotees I know from many years. Uh, so he called me saying that I'm 51 years and I've been actually wanting to quit my job for almost 10 years now. And then he said his Guru Maharaj had given him permission. Everything was true, but then he was still a little bit concerned because the others were discouraging him. He was wanting to give up all other engagements. Financially, he was okay, can take care of his responsibilities, and he had a preaching service in his responsibility that he had taken up, and his Guru Maharaj had given him blessings. But then still there are others who are discouraging him. Why? Prahlad Maharaj is saying from the age of 5 one should do this. Shouldn't we do that at least at 50? This is seriously wake up call for all those. I keep telling all those people who are financially taken care of. Krishna has been merciful enough to give you enough money. He did not do that so that you can actually enjoy material life. He did that so that you can dedicate your life to his service. So please don't waste your life. I know so many devotees, who are ready to give up their engagements, but their material responsibilities are holding them back. Hmm. Otherwise, I have one more solution for all those who still want to work. You work, please give that whole money to those devotees who want to give up their work and serve Krishna. At least. Yeah, but we should not waste our life. Seriously. Yeah, our responsibilities have to be taken care. But life will go on. Life will get over, finish. Before we can open our eyes, we will come to the fag end of our life. I'm seeing. Seeing old people. My father, my mother now, and it really scares me. They are not so perfectly Krishna conscious as, of course, my father was. He left his body in the middle of Harinam, but my mother is not. And it worries me because she was very materially attached. Not sense gratification, but just attached to family. Simple woman, simply attached to children, grandchildren, kitchen. And she's not able to pull herself out. It's so scary, really. I mean, if you don't do it earlier on, don't hope to do this at the last stage of your life. The human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to God. Therefore, every living entity, especially humans, must engage in devotional service. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all other living beings. The happiness perceived with the reference to sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life. Just as we obtain distress, we can obtain happiness without any endeavor automatically. Endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed. So, if we get economic development, that means if you have money, we should not use it for sense gratification. This we have already heard in the first chapter, first canto, second chapter only. For they result only in a loss of time and energy with no actual profit. So, if we engage our wealth in sense gratification, they result in only loss of time and energy because all the time that we use to earn that money is wasted now. Not just that there is no actual profit, there is loss. If one's endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self realization. There's no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development, meaning earning money. Therefore, while in material existence, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life. As long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling, please note this, before our body comes to this state, mm, he should achieve the highest goal. Must endeavor to achieve the highest goal. Then Prahlad Maharaj says how we waste our life. We waste, lot of our life in sleeping. Then, yeah, so somebody was 100 years sleeps for 12 hours. So he has only 50 years left. Then in childhood, one passes 10 years wastefully. Boyhood, sporting in playing, another 10 years gone. 20 years wasted. Old age, again, 20 years gone. So if somebody is going to live for 40, 100 years, 40 years is gone. In childhood 20, old age 20, 40 is gone. So remaining 60. In that 60, 50% is sleep. So only 30 is left. And then work. So if you work, then the remaining 30 hours, 30 years also is gone. One whose mind and senses are uncontrolled because becomes increasingly attached to family life because of insatiable lusty desires and very strong illusion. So he becomes attached to family life. That's all. Nothing else is required. We don't have to get attached to money, wealth, other nonsense. Just attached to family life. Enough. Finish. In such a madman's life, remaining years are also wasted because even during those years, he cannot engage in devotional service because he's attached to family, his responsibilities. What person too attached to household life due to being unable to control his senses can liberate himself. An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family. So I know natural questions here is what should we do? Should we not do our duty? Yes, we should do our duty, but we should not be overly attached. Prabhupada says there's a natural affection towards family members. Natural affection, but just keep it, limit it. Don't go overboard. Actually, we should try to treat our, uh, ourselves, the house as Krishna's temple. Everybody living in the house as ashram, the residents of the ashrama, all devotees. The Grihastha ashrama, all the residents are devotees, and serve them and serve the house as appropriate. That's all, without any material attachment. And then Prahlad goes on saying that, he vividly describes the situation of how we are stuck, who is most affectionate to his family, the core of his heart being always filled with their pictures. Our wife is always very kind, not all, but yeah, expected. A wife is always very kind and sympathetic, and always pleases her husband in a solitary place. Who could give up the association of such a dear and affectionate wife? Small children talk in broken language, very pleasing to hear. I see. When children are parents are all ears, they'll be like looking at their child like Krishna is standing right in front of them. Even if Krishna stands, there won't be so much happiness in them. But when the children is doing something and others especially are appreciating them, then they are like, oh, so much satisfaction, so much happiness. Mm. Like this, every aspect, household affairs, there are many decorated items of household furniture, animals. Animals means in today's world is vehicles, servants, etc., etc. One who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He also fails to understand the purpose of life. However, he is very clearly attentive to seeing that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffers, he does not develop a distaste for this material life. Look at this. If a person too attached to duties of family maintenance is unable to control his senses, the core of his heart is immersed in how to accumulate money. So I was telling, the exercise. What is there in the core of our heart? Making money, mm, affection towards family, mm, promotion, position. What is there in the core of our heart? Yeah, so just providing necessities of life for their families, just like uneducated cats and dogs. Mm. Those bereft of knowledge of Lord are bound by material laws. They're factually addicted to sense gratification and their target is woman. Those who are very much addicted to this conception of life are called demons. Therefore, although you're sons of demons, keep aloof from such persons and take shelter of Narayana. Narayana is the original super soul. So consequently, there are no impediments to pleasing him and worshipping him under any condition. Whether one may be a child or an old man, there are no impediments because he is in the heart also. Mm. So there's no difficulty in pleasing the Lord. And then he glorifies the Supreme Lord. He is present as the observer in the course of the hearts of all living entities, a super soul. Therefore, please act in such a way that Supreme Lord will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature. Act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-wishers. Look at this. Nothing is unobtainable for devotees who are satisfied with Supreme Lord. And so what is the use of following Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha? We devotees always glorify the lotus feet of the Lord, then therefore we need not ask for anything in terms of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Because nothing is unobtainable actually. Because he is the cause of all causes, original source of everything, Lord Narayana. Hmm. Narayana is the well-wisher and friend of all living entities. Though this was explained by this transcendental knowledge to the formally Narayana explained this transcendental knowledge to great saint Narada. Such knowledge is extremely difficult to understand without the mercy of a saintly person like Narada. But everyone who has taken shelter of Narada's disciplic succession can understand. We are also in Narada's disciplic succession. And then he says that he received this knowledge from Narada. And then these children are saying that how come you are always here only? So then he says that that Kayadu was being taken away by Indra, and then Indra Narada Muni comes, and Narada Muni takes them to their ashram, and Narada Muni delivered his instructions both to me, who was within the womb, and to my mother, who was engaged in rendering him service. Because he is naturally extremely kind to the fallen souls, being in a transcendental position, he gave instructions on religion and transcendental knowledge. So saying, my dear friends, if you can place your faith in my words, simply by that faith, you can also understand transcendental knowledge just like me. See, look at this. We have to have just faith in Srila Prabhupada's words. That's all. Okay, so then he goes on and then gives more gyan. Then he says one must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. And in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions, strictly according to the injunctions of Shastra and Guru. Hmm. So devotional process is describing. One should always remember the Supreme Lord in his as Paramatma. Thus one should offer respect to every living entity, remembering Paramatma. By these activities, as mentioned in these two verses, one is able to cut down the influence of the enemies, namely lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. And when thus situated, one can render service to the Lord. In this way, one surely attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Person of Godhead. So we should see we are so fortunate. Our acharyas have actually given the essence to us as in the form of the process. Actually, it's the process, so we can't miss it. One who is situated in devotional service is certainly the controller of his senses. Certainly the controller of his senses. And thus he is liberated person. When such a liberated person, the pure devotee, hears of the transcendental qualities and activities of Lord's incarnations, his hairs stand on end, tears fall, and in his spiritual realization, his voice falters. Sometimes he very openly dances, sometimes he sings, sometimes he cries. When a devotee becomes like a person haunted by a ghost, he laughs and very loudly chants about the qualities of the Lord. Sometimes he sits to perform meditation. He offers respects to every living entity, considering him a devotee of the Lord. Constantly breathing very heavily, becomes careless of the social etiquette and loudly chants like a madman, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The devotee is then freed from all material contamination because he constantly thinks of the Lord's pastimes and because his mind and body have been converted to spiritual activities. Because of his intense devotional service, his ignorance and all kinds of material desires and material consciousness completely burned to ashes. This is the stage at which one can achieve the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. So beautiful. Read these verses again from verse 30. From verse 30 to 36. This is how we are supposed to make progress. Hmm. Yeah, again he repeats the same thing, that how we are stuck materially attached. You know, he's saying this, he's giving the process, then he again reminding us, saying that you're again stuck. You're stuck. Don't forget these instructions. Hmm. Hmm. Again, coming back, bringing back Supreme Person of Godhead. Hari is the soul and super soul. Hmm. So like this, he gives the whole knowledge of uh, bhakti. All the sons of the demons appreciated the transcendental instructions of Prahlad Maharaj and took them very seriously. They rejected the materialistic instructions given by their teachers. So then they all see everybody becoming devotees. So Shanda and Amarka go and tell Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation. He was extremely angry, so much so that his body trembled. Thus he finally decided to kill his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlada was peaceful, mild, and gentle. Hmm? Again, he was peaceful, mild, and gentle. Senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. Senses were under control because somebody is like shouting and wanting to hurt you, harm you, etc. We will start, our senses will become agitated. They'll start jumping up and down. His senses were under control. He just stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. According to Prahlad's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. Yet with staring crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. O most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lowest of mankind, you violated my power to rule you. This is his problem all along. You have not allowed me to control you. You violated my power to rule you. Therefore, you are an obstinate fool, stubborn fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. My son Prahlad, you rascal. You know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep again my power to rule you? Prahlad Maharaj, very again, going back, a peaceful, mild, gentle, senses under full control, with folded hands, he said, my dear king, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, is also the source of yours. Indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is one. Is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, who is the supreme controller and time factor, is the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital force of the senses. So please remember this. He is the power of everything. So that power has to be used in his service. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities. The controller of the three modes of material nature. By his own power, he creates this world, maintains it, and annihilates it also. And he is still advising, my dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not in your heart discriminate between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised toward everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly. Perfectly. If we don't see people equally on the spiritual platform, that means we are not come to the perfect stage of worship. In former times, there were many fools like you, fools like you, who did not conquer the six enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all the enemies in all 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the six enemies and is equipoised toward all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. So he's telling him, saying, you're thinking of Vishnu as your enemy, you're just in ignorance. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal, you are trying to minimize my value, as if you are better than me at controlling the senses. He's not able to see still. This is over intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, but this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. Oh, most unfortunate Prahlada! You always described a supreme being other than me. Other than me. Hmm. A supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all pervading. But where is he? If he's everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? Because you are speaking so much nonsense. I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipful God come to protect you. I want to see it. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlada with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, caught up his from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh my dear Yudhishthir, this sound reached even the abodes of demigods like Lord Brahma. And when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound which had never before been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Lord Hari exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Sri Narasimha Bhagavan ki jai. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narasimha standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome for the Asura because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, that is, hairs of his head, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, and his razor sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Even killed with his conch shell, even with his lotus. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Arrogance. Thinking like this and taking up his club, he attacked the Lord like an elephant. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. The great demon Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narasimha with his club and began to beat him. Lord Narasimha, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. Oh, great! When Lord Narasimha gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, the demigods who had lost their abodes and were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Narasimha, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Lord Narayana, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu again, was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed. He was moving so fast, but his eyes closed because of fear of Narasimhadev's laughter. As a snake captures a mouse or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Narasimha captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. His body was so strong. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Narasimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs. And in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Lord Narasimhadev's mouth and mane was sprinkled with blood, drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, Supreme Lord Narasimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that had just killed an elephant. तव करकमलवरेण दलितैरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय Hare Krishna. Okay, if anybody wants to make any comments, questions, please feel free.